We're in a competition. We're in a race. Let's act like it.
Saxavoord has informed Skyrora that they are fully booked for the rest of this year.
I'm just going to sit over here in my historical accuracy, continuing to call it Gemini, as the people who actually worked on it did.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
And welcome to Tomorrow. My name is Jamie Higginbotham. Haven't been here for a while, so I'm very rusty at opening shows, but I am joined by an amazing panel of people today. We have got a Space Mike sitting right over here. We've got a Dutta, a Jared, and a Ryan, and we will be talking about all of the space news geekery, starting with China tests lunar lander. Man, the space race be back on, it feels like.
That's right. That is right. This is just 2 months after they conducted the pad abort test of their next generation crew vehicle, Mengyu. They tested the launch abort system on that. So things are speeding up quite a bit. Actually, I forgot. Let me share this so that we can actually take a look at the test that they have done. And this one was a simulated test. So it's under springs. It wasn't, completely untethered test, but still progress nonetheless. Let me turn that down. Sorry about that, everybody. Forgot about that. My bad. And obviously, as you can see from the orange puffs of smoke there, this is
they love their
hypergolic.
hypergolics.
And you know what? That's okay because ours were hypergolics back then too, so it's fine.
That smells fishy.
It's fine.
They are not afraid of their hypergolics, are they?
No, I mean it's reliable. I mean it's the same reason why we've been using the shuttle OMS system, which is also going to be used on Orion. We're using hypergolics on Orion as well, folks. So it's something that, even though it's super freaking toxic, it's proven and it's pretty, I wouldn't say easily handleable because it's so toxic, but there's a lot of things that have been proven with it. So I don't blame them in the least for going with what they know, especially since China has a lot of experience with the hypergolics. In any case, I mean, this is a serious test. This isn't just some mock-up. This is real tests with real hardware moving towards their lunar landing. And not only this, aside from the crew capsule, they're also doing static fire tests of their next rocket, Long March 10, which is replacing Long March 5 to be their system that they would use in order to conduct human landed missions on the moon. So things are moving at a pretty rapid pace. And I know in the spaceflight industry, things kind of move on yearly schedules, but at the same time, this is just, I'm impressed by this and also a little bit worried because seems like I don't know about you guys, but it's starting to feel like they've caught up to our progress and might be able to launch past us. What do you guys think?
I don't know. So for the record, hypergols, 100%, everyone uses them. There's nothing necessarily wrong with them. It's just that they love them. They use them everywhere. It's just like, even on stages where you're like, I'm not sure you need hypergols there. Yeah. But this one makes sense, right? Like 100% you put it on a lunar lander. That makes total sense to me. I'll tell you what I was looking at when I was looking at that footage. I was trying to determine, and this is going to sound dumb, will it tip over? No, I'm serious, and I'm not even joking. I can't quite, because it's not super tall, right? It was a little bit wider, but those legs, I'm not sure. The moon is not perfectly flat, so I don't know. Did you guys think it looked stable? I mean, it's going to depend on where the CG is. Hopefully, the CG is really, really low. The center of gravity, sorry, is really, really low.
I mean,
but
I do like they're a bit more stout.
you
I do like that, but whether or not it has any sort of suspension system in those legs, or if there's any tilt in the pads on the bottom of them, not sure. But I mean, if just from the size of it, depending on how it's loaded and everything, the center of gravity would probably be fine. I'd like more having something that's a bit more stocky and stout like that. So probably be fine, but that would also be a hilarious result if their human lander tips over, which means we would need to conduct a rescue mission, and that would be amazing for world peace.
Yeah,
you need the center of gravity and the moment of inertia to be inside of the circle of the feet.
Right.
Raul says none of the LEMs tipped over. Yeah, that's fair. But also the LEM CG was really, 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 really low, right? Because like all the
it was
weight,
really it
all the
was
weight
really
was at the
low,
bottom.
and they also had real-time ability to change where it was landing based on the environment, whereas all of the landers that have tipped over that are autonomously landed have not. Yeah,
That's a fair.
they had guidance, but the guidance is only as good as you program it to be.
I mean, Apollo 11 was, lest we forget, like they came within
Almost.
seconds of aborting, right? Well, I'm not sure he would ever have aborted.
20 within 25 seconds of running out of fuel to find an appropriate landing space.
But they could still, they would run out of fuel, but they would still be able to abort, right? Like there would still be like, nope.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
it would just reascend. Yeah. But will it land upright? Yeah. And actually, to Dada's point, like if there are humans on board, then I'm sure they'll just take manual control with the 5-axis joystick from the next generation Enterprise bridge that they use for manual control.
That'll
Yeah, I
arise
think
from the floor.
Yeah.
And that depends on some sort of visibility of where you're going. Remember, the LEM had a little triangular window out
That's
of
a good
which
point.
they
Did
were
you see any
looking.
windows in that thing?
Not really. However, I think that they're covering up a lot of stuff on it to hide certain things. It just seems like there's a lot more like thermal blankets on it in areas where I would expect there to be a door or a window or something like that. So that's just my suspicion. I don't have any proof of that, but
They need to thermally protect the windows. I mean, it makes total sense. So.
It does. It does. I'm sure it's all part of the plan.
Yeah.
Looking at this, I do think that there's, China's been very clear. They want to send humans to the moon, right? Like they haven't been shy about this. This is their plan. And if America wants to catch up, we're at that stage. Like I think we're behind now, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
a little bit.
so maybe, I don't know. We've got SLS. We have Artemis. As much as we gripe about SLS and Artemis, like it is a super heavy lifter. We've got Orion, right? Are we behind?
We
don't
have
a lander.
we
don't
have a
lander.
rough structure of all the pieces that don't yet quite work together.
That's not a bad place to be, is it?
No, but you have to be able to commit to that last mile in order to be able to get all of the things working together. And again, you want to go back to Apollo, you remember that they had a number of missions that were stacked on top of each other, where you've got a lesson learned from this one going into the next one, a lesson learned from this one going into the next one, in order to be able to step into the ability to get to the moon. And we are still 6 steps from that based on what we've done recently with modern equipment. So you
Is
can
that
buy
a
all that
NASA?
you can buy all that risk all at once and just slam it out and do the mission, or you can buy down all of that risk a step at a time until you put people in it in order to be able to get the mission to stack up correctly.
Dave Avery has a really good point, which is we don't have urgency, but maybe we will now.
Maybe. And I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of the impression that I'm getting from our new acting interim NASA administrator, Sean Duffy. Seems like that he is coming with a sense of urgency and treating this like it really is a moon race, and that we got to beat the Russians and the Chinese to it. He keeps saying the Russians, which I kind of roll my eyes at, but he's not wrong. The Russians are a partner in their international lunar village that they want to build. I keep using that lunar village. I know that's a European Space Agency term. It's ILSS, which I keep forgetting which the acronym stands for, but that's the Chinese lunar base, which the Russians are working on them with and sharing technical data, and also talking about putting a nuclear reactor on the moon themselves, which is something that we're working on, have been working on for a little while. And Duffy came in this week and told the program that is working on that to essentially to more than double the capacity that they've been working on. They've been working on getting something that's like a 10 kilowatt to a 40 kilowatt system of a small but a fission reactor to the moon, and either stack a couple of them together to reach his goal. He's asking them to get to 100 kilowatts so that we would be able to survive the lunar night and have a real lunar base, not just one module that we go to and maybe spend a couple weeks at. every couple of years. So I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged by his sense of urgency and like, no, let's step this up and push forward and do a real base here. We're in a competition. We're in a race. Let's act like it. So,
Are they starting from scratch, or are they standing on the shoulders of like Radiant and X Energy and stuff like that? Where
who or
they've
the Chinese Russian team?
no, for the lunar nuclear reactors.
For ours?
Yeah.
Well, of course they're standing on the shoulders of giants. This is NASA in collaboration with the Los Alamos laboratory, using all of their data to come up with this system.
So they're standing up their own as opposed to using the commercial variants that are being worked on from the likes of Radiant and X Energy.
Well, yes and no. So initially they developed their own system. They got a 10 kilowatt system. They got that working and have done several tests in Nevada at the Los Alamos laboratory under different conditions. It didn't elaborate too much of what those conditions were, but they tried at least from the paper that I read about it, it talked about how they put it under certain heat conditions. They tried putting it under like rough conditions, not like the vibration testing that you do with satellites, but a type of system that would kind of bang this around a little bit and make sure that everyone would still working. And what they were determining was that under some of those pressure situations, their output would be a lot lower. Like in some cases, they were only getting up to just 1 kilowatt. But that was the system that they developed. Whereas this new directive is asking to reach out to some of those commercial companies like X Energy, thank you for bringing that up, to potentially use their systems instead of the one that NASA has already developed. So little bit confusing, and it's there. The wording of this directive, though, was a little bit open as to seeing if these commercial options would work better than what NASA has already developed. And again, either sending multiple of them and just linking them together to get to that 100 kilowatt. I don't even know what to call this.
Rating.
Mandate, I guess. So either send multiple of them and string them together, or see if the commercial systems would be able to just do it all in one shot. So it's kind of vague, but still progress.
Who's paying for it?
We are, of course, the American taxpayer.
Are we?
Well,
Like that they want to slash NASA's budget, so who's paying for it? Like, no, as Jared loves to say, no bucks, no Buck Rogers. That's you, Jared, right? Yeah. So, like, we can sit here and talk about how there's a new space race and we're really excited, and like we're talking about, oh, we want to make these bigger things, but then if we keep slashing NASA's budget, who's paying for it?
It doesn't have to come out of NASA's budget. It can come
what
out
if
of
we-
defense
what if-
budget.
yeah, we could
Oh, that's
convince the
fair.
Space Development Agency to do this. They get $16 billion a year. We could ask Space Force to do it. They've just set aside $25 billion just for Golden Dome alone. So if we word it the right way and get it to the right people, it could still get funded.
Historically, the DoD has loved it when they've had NASA projects shoved down their throat, right? That's worked really well in the past, right?
Like that Navy shuttle.
Yeah, they're like, let's do that.
It's just really, it's peculiar, at least from my perspective, to see the Trump administration, which, Sean Duffy is an asset of the Trump administration, him, praising this, we were going to build a nuclear generator on the moon, put a power plant on the moon. And at the same time, the fiscal year 26 request from the Trump White House a few months ago is going to nil out RTG production by 2029. I know RTGs and these sort of nuclear power plants are two separate things that, fission and RTGs operate in two different ways. And the only word that correlates between them is nuclear. But why are they so, we're going to do this nuclear power plant on the moon and then completely eliminate the NASA RTG department in 4 years' time? Like, those two things just don't correlate with each other whatsoever in my head.
Honestly, I'm surprised it's not a coal generator.
just
We have to
Can you
spend
imagine
even more money.
a coal powered lunar
Yeah.
power plant?
To be
Oh,
delivered
man.
by Northrop Grumman moon trains.
Connecting the
No,
dots. I love it. I
no,
love it.
you know it would be Union Pacific and something else in order to be able to get.
Well, here's the problem: is with the whole lunar rail track, is every spike has to be a golden spike. It's the only aerospace
Right,
tech you
right.
can get.
Right.
Oh my God.
And then
You know what,
DARPA's on board until like maybe not. Maybe
They'll be
not.
on board until 95%, like all of their programs, when they pull out right before it's done.
Oh, we've got it. It's on the moon. It's landed. The hardware's there. We're getting ready to fire it up. Don't.
That's pull
Phrasing, Mike.
Don't
Phrasing.
do it. We're fine.
Oh, sorry.
Pretty sure that was intentional.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see a new space race. Like, I feel like humanity is at our best when we have some form of competition, right? We seem to advance when it's the right kind of competition, if that makes sense. And a technological
No.
competition. Go ahead.
No, when it's the wrong kind of competition.
No, I think the wrong kind of competition is more like all-out war, right? Where, yeah, or like who can build the biggest weapon fastest. I think that's the wrong.
We're
type,
getting
wrong.
there.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily this. This is more the right type of competition, which is, hey, we can get there first. We can do this
Conversation for another
bigger
day.
and badder. Yeah, this is more. We're not building weapons here. And while the technology stack that we do, any technology can be turned into a weapon, but this is not using the technology for a weapon. This is using the technology to push humanity to the stars. I think that is the right way, the right kind of competition. And so I am excited.
I'm gonna push back on that just a little bit. I would say the right kind of competition is the ability, the contributions to a collaborative effort. The wrong kind of competition is let me see how I can get there first for my own reasons.
Your version of competition is fake and never actually works out. So, sorry, but like the cold, harsh reality is
the ISS hasn't come to fruition yet.
no. I mean, it hasn't. I mean, yeah, I would tend to agree. The ISS has got us stuck in low Earth orbit, as did the shuttle. It did not advance us technologically. It was the wrong kind of everything. Yeah, you're right.
We technically never even finished it either. They called it
Yeah.
complete,
Construction
complete, but abandoned all the plans for what its original purpose was supposed to be in the first place.
And all the great stuff to figure out how to send humanity to like the moon and like doing artificial gravity and stuff. Oh, that's all gone now, right? You're right. It ended up being the wrong kind of everything. So no, I don't think that's the right kind of competition. You need some actual good old fashioned like I want to win. Sorry, like welcome to humanity. This is how we work. This is how our brains are wired. And I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but like legitimately, this is what pushes us forward. We pushed humanity forward during the Apollo era because of that competition. We just did. And so we're starting to see a little bit of it again. And I'm not necessarily sad that it's happening. I would like to avoid the wrong kind, which is all out war, right? Like that's not good. Loss of human life is not good. Like all humans are precious. So like being able to try to push the foundation of where humans are going, push us out to the moon, push us out to Mars, advance the species. I think this could be potentially a good thing. We'll see. Like might all fall apart. No Bucks, no Buck Rogers. Right. Like every time the presidential administration changes, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. I personally don't think that this is a space race. I think that this is, at least for the United States, a space rehash. We're doing what we've already done. So that's why there is a lack of enthusiasm or a lack of funding, because a lot of people, within culture and within politics, kind of look at what's going on and say, okay, well, we did that 56 years ago. So what new thing are we bringing to the table here? And there's really not, it doesn't really feel like there's a specific technology that isn't something that's already been done before, or significantly enhancing what has already been used. Sure, you can throw nuclear into the mix with everything, but as we've talked about, and as several people in our chat room have talked about, nuclear has been involved in space since the 1960s. The United States did it. The Soviet Union did it. The United States is continuing to do it with things like RTGs. You know, the Voyager spacecraft are still operating on the RTGs. So you can't, yeah, you're putting well, no, this isn't even a big thing to be putting nuclear specifically on a surface, because the Viking spacecraft use that, and Curiosity and Perseverance are using RTGs. So yeah, to me, it's like we're not doing anything groundbreaking here. Like, maybe the groundbreaking thing is that we're having commercial entities be a part of it. But other than that, it just doesn't feel cutting. It doesn't feel as cutting edge when you talk about it as Apollo does. So it's not as exciting as Apollo is, because we're not wading into truly new territory, or something that no one has truly never done before. Maybe for other countries, yes. So that's why it may be very exciting, very motivating for a country like China to really go full speed into this, because they've just never done it with humans before. Therefore, they've got the motivation to do that. And China also does something very interesting, which is culturally they highlight these things, and they spread it to everybody within the country that is interested in it. China has often used NASA missions as examples as to what to aspire to. And now China is doing this themselves. They are doing what they aspire to, and I'm sure that's being shared all over the place within China itself, maybe not outside of China, very easily at least. But I imagine that the motivations are different. Therefore, you have a country that's already done this, probably not as particularly motivated, definitely budgetarily not as motivated to actually accomplish the goal. And then you have a country that's never done it before, that is just super psyched to be giving it a shot, and is throwing everything they can at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I think it's very obvious as to who probably has the advantage there. So yeah.
2 points. One, it's not groundbreaking; it's regolith breaking. Just so you know,
Litho breaking.
Hopefully not. Two, actually, I think that's a really good point, and I fear you may be right. Right? Like, I don't know. I feel like if I go outside of the space community in the United States, or even through most of the world, I just don't know how much they care, if at all. And arguably, maybe not only do they not care, they really don't see the point. Why are we wasting money up there when we've got so many problems down here? I think that's the real answer I'm going to get. And so you may fundamentally be right, is that there is no competition here, at least not from the US side, because we might be viewing it as, oh, hey, we already did this. Welcome to the game, right? Not realizing that they're probably going to stay.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and, Jamie, to your point too, during Apollo, the general public consensus of it was not positive. That is a myth that everybody always comes up with, which is this idea. I mean, Apollo 11, yeah, that did bring everybody together for a week.
That brought the planet together. The whole planet watched.
Yeah.
That was...
and Apollo 13, which we'll get to a little bit later as well, brought folks together as well. But other than that, it really was viewed as why are we sending money into space? And it was not popular. The space program was not a popular thing.
We're still having to fight that
States.
misnomer, though.
So,
we're not sending
sure
money to space. We're spending it here. Like, the money doesn't go to space. The money goes here.
I love now responding with, we're wasting plenty of money here on Earth. We spend $1 trillion per year on advertisements that everyone hates. So don't tell me about the $20 billion that we're wasting on space.
Hear me out.
You could fund
advertisements on the lunar lander.
You could fund a moon mission with
All for it.
all of the money that is spent on Super Bowl commercials. for 1
The
year.
Louis
Literally.
Vuitton lander. It's in the shape of a handbag.
Yeah, whatever. And
Well, it's big and
seal
wide, so
and
maybe
seal shaped like a seal singing from a rock. Like, yeah.
I am totally fine with putting sponsorship stickers all over those things to get them paid for. I am 100% okay with that, as long as it happens.
Steven says 60s was a space race. We all were excited and worried. I don't know. The 60s was a weird time. Like, Jared's not wrong. Like, if you go back and you look at the surveys and whatnot of like people that supported Apollo, there's actually more support for NASA today than there was in the Apollo era, which is mind-boggling. I do believe that all shifted once they landed on the moon. And once people saw it and they got to experience it, I think that something just changed in them. And that I think that's what moved people into, oh yeah, no, this is something we should do and we should be leaders in. But I don't think it's ever been much more than like 51%, at least not in the US. It's barely over 50%. I would have to go. Jared, do you know? I don't know the latest numbers.
I don't know.
I could try to find them real quick.
And remember all of the astronauts in all the documentaries, they lament that all of their friends that they grew up with in pilot school and whatnot were out fighting Vietnam while they were playing around with, you know, the modern day airplanes and stuff like that. Like, they all had a guilty conscience about it. They were each serving their country in a different way, and they didn't really didn't see the tangible sacrifice that they were making, that all of their friends were making.
I actually have a personal story that backs that up entirely. My grandfather was an Air Force pilot, served in Korea. He was actually in the same fighter wing, bomber wing, not fighter wing, but bomber wing as Gus Grissom, and in the same larger squadron as Buzz Aldrin. They would see each other, but he didn't really know him. But he knew Gus Grissom and was completely heartbroken when Gus Grissom died in the Apollo 1 fire. Point being, though, he had the opportunity to apply and become an astronaut himself and decided not to because he wanted to play with the new cool airplanes at the time. He was flying the F-100 Super Sabre and working on follow-on systems with all those different companies at the time. So that's 100% true, that there were a lot of guys who thought this was cool but wanted to do that stuff. And to back up your point, you know, I've heard the same stories from some of those astronauts about how they wished that they were, you know, still there with their buddies like they had been in Korea. So,
All right.
There are a few chat messages. Oh, go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a survey from Pew from 2023 about NASA specifically. 69% of Americans have a very favorable view of NASA. 65% of Americans say that it's essential for NASA to continue to be involved in space exploration. Now, here's the interesting thing from that survey, which, you know, with the vast majority of people saying that NASA's great and that NASA should be involved in it, only 12% say that human astronauts being sent to the moon should be a top NASA priority. So
interesting. The numbers are nowhere near where I thought they were, but that's really, really interesting. There are a few comments that have been starred, so whoever's directing, if you want to sort by starred, I did want to go over a few of these. One of them is from Raul Santos, who says China will send humans to the moon no matter what. So, like, I mean, I think that's a fair statement. I think that I think, Mike, you were the one who said it, but it's like a part of national pride at this point, right? Like, this is something they really want to do. They've made it very clear that this is something they're going to do, so they're going to do it. Courtney Johnson,
I think
go ahead.
Chinese boots on the moon by 2030 is almost a guarantee at this point at their rate of development. Like, something very, very serious in the political sphere would have to go down in order for that to not happen.
I agree, and I don't see a pathway for the U.S. to make it in that same time frame.
Well, they don't work on Elon time, right? So, like, they're pretty accurate with their
No,
timelines?
No. I will argue all aerospace works on Elon time. All aerospace works on Elon time.
But in general, they are pretty close to their timelines, yeah.
I actually don't know.
Well, consider this for Tiangong. They started bending metal for the core module in late 2018, and by 2021, they had already launched the first module. They built that thing in less than 3 years. So, you know, there was a lot of work that went into it before then, but not a whole lot of that was really publicized because it was a lot of the background work leading up to it. But once they were like, okay, here's the program, this is what we're doing, in less than 5 years, they'd accomplished it.
Next comment is Courtney Johnson. We are less risk tolerant. We value individual lives more. China appears to be more tolerant of the risk of loss of life, similar to where we were during Apollo. I do think there's a dissimilarity there. I think we were willing to say to the astronauts, this is extremely risky. You're putting your life on the line. Are you willing to accept this risk? In my opinion, China just drops rockets on towns, right? Like it's a different level of risk. I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't think that their risk is quite the right way to do it. I think it's more a national pride thing, personally. You guys?
I would actually argue that for the United States, it's not so much the individual astronauts' risk of life that is the danger. It's the PR for the company or entity that would be causing that they're averse to.
Certainly in today's world, yeah, because there's so much commercial space. 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It seems like things like are maybe changing a little bit, because I don't know about you guys, but I've been really concerned about the whole heat shield thing with Orion and how they were willing to accept the risk of, the results that they were getting from it and change the angle to be, slightly less steep for Artemis 2. And I was kind of surprised and shocked that they were willing to take that risk. But at the same time, maybe that's a good thing.
I mean, also it's just engineering data, right? Like you gotta.
I
We
think there's
fail
more
when we
margin
stop
than you
listening to
think.
engineers. Yeah, like NASA's biggest mess ups are when they stopped listening to the engineers and management just made decisions. And so, if engineers are saying no, this will work, just change your angle of attack, I'm actually on board with that. That's not to say that they're infallible, right? Like they can make mistakes, but go to where the data is. That's my general. All right. David Van Reaper says, sorry, I'm not more optimistic, guys. I watched Apollo 11 at age 17, almost 74, and still no moon base. Not even human boot prints since 1972. 100%. Like, my generation forward, dropped the baton. In my opinion. Right?
I don't agree with that. So I think
battle to the death.
Well, no, not battle to the death. I just think that there's a understanding of history that is lacking often in the discussion of spaceflight about Apollo into shuttle in that era, which is that the leadership at that time really did look at Apollo as a JFK project. And once that was done, there was no reason to continue to do these sort of big projects that needed to happen. If there had been a desire for that, the Apollo applications program would have continued, right? You got one thing out of Apollo applications, and that was Skylab. And we only did that, and we really only did Skylab because of the Soviet Salyut program. That was it. So it wasn't because the people in charge actually wanted to have a space station. It was because they saw, the Soviets are developing this system, and we've talked about having militarized space stations before. So we're going to go ahead and do a civilian one, because here in the United States, home of the free, land of the brave, whatever, we're going to show them up by having our own civilian space station here, and we're going to do longer durations than them. And then it led to shuttle, which the whole point of shuttle was basically, fly it more often and fly it cheaper, which of course, in hindsight, being 2020, we now know shuttle did the exact opposite of all of those things. But politically, with the design, with JFK's legacy is cemented. It's done. We need to make our own, which is separate from this. We have the Vietnam War that we're contending with right now, that's siphoning money and blood from the United States. We need to focus on putting our space program somewhere that makes sense, and continued gigantic levels of spending from here to infinity is not how that's going to work. We need to make sure, we need to bring the costs down, so we're going to make something that can operate at what was it, airline costs is what they were hoping to get out of shuttle, which obviously that did not I mean, love the optimism, but like that didn't,
they tried.
Everybody talks about Elon time. What about Elon ambition? I think we could apply that to shuttle with something like that. But
Shuttle applied Elon time as well. Let's be clear.
Yeah, definitely on that too. But it's not. I don't think it's any. There's no particular group I think that you can point at and give 100% of the blame to. Like, you can't look at like the tail end of baby boomers or the beginning of Gen X and be like, that's your fault specifically. Like, I think that's a really bad way of assigning the blame. There's plenty of people for all the blame to go around to. So
Jared, I do feel like you're missing the soundbite opportunity, though, and that's the not. So I think that's fair. That is fair, and you are absolutely right. Like, it was the Nixon administration, and Nixon very much so did not like the JFK legacy and wanted to kill he wanted to kill the Apollo program, right? I mean, he wanted this dead. He wanted this dead way before he was able to actually. And finally, once we landed on the moon, he's like, "Oh, good, now I have a moment to stop."
He wanted Apollo 15, 16, and 17 canceled outright.
Yeah.
So after Apollo 11, and they were like, no, let's do a little more science with it. So
that's fair. That's fair. Massimo says, I think the lack of ambition after Apollo, a moon base could have been done after that, contributed to letting the enthusiasm fade and the unpopularity grow. And I think that kind of goes back down to the point you were just making, Jared, of like, there was unpopularity, right? Like, famously Apollo 13 wasn't broadcast. Like, it was like they were playing sports game, or like, I forget, but like they just weren't broadcasting Apollo 13 until there was
none
a
of the
problem.
networks picked up their in-space event.
Yeah, right? Like, I mean...
Yeah.
Right?
And then half an hour later, suddenly everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
So polling data from the 60s shows that there is a consistent level of support for the space program, bouncing between 35 to 40%. So the vast majority of people were not on board with it. The vast majority were essentially looking at we need to spend this actually down here on Earth as opposed to sending it into space. So sort of looking at Johnson's The Great Society as this is something worth spending on, as opposed to the Apollo program. So even though the Apollo program was a part of that, it was very much highlighted by many people as something not worth doing. So again,
Jared, you brilliantly brought us into our next comment. No, go finish your thought.
I was gonna say, I obviously I am a young child, so I was born in '88, so I don't have it's just right into the comment we were talking about.
I had international travel under my belt before you were born.
It hurts. Oh,
and man. I'm only from '87 onwards.
Stop it, Ryan. Not a word, Ryan.
Yeah.
That does lead us into Aerospike's comment quite well. Last comment of this segment, which is sitting here bemused at people who weren't alive at the time talking about what my opinion was of the space program in the 60s. Fair,
Sorry.
Aerospike, but I don't think we're not talking about your opinion. We're looking at the broad averages from the data that was provided to us. It is completely possible that the market research is wrong, or
today.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, you're only as good as your data input, and it's completely possible that like the data was straight up wrong, and actually most Americans did like it, and they were interviewing the wrong kind of people, or they purposely wanted to create a result that they wanted to get. And so I actually don't know. I can only go based on the data that I have access to, and it historically did look like most people in the United States, a majority being, 51%, were not necessarily in favor of the space program. Doesn't mean that you weren't, and it doesn't mean that you weren't in the group that were like, yes, we should do this. And per Jared's data earlier, that's not Jared, that's Jared. Per Jared's data earlier, like, I was wrong because I thought we were just at like 51% today, and we're not. We're at like 65, like crazy numbers, crazy. NASA has high popularity, way higher than I thought.
Yeah.
And it's possible that that was the case back in the day, and our metrics were just like wrong.
Imagine where they would have been without the social aspects.
Like this, like social media and things like that. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Even super surprising just from that poll that Jared brought up, up to 70% support for NASA, but less than 12% support for sending humans to the moon again. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Boo.
Mixed
Believe
signals.
it or not, the biggest things that the public wants, here's the biggest thing the public wants is 60% say that NASA's top priority should be monitoring asteroids that can hit the Earth. So,
ooh, that's actually, they should be doing that. They should 100% be doing that.
Because so the amazing thing about that is that that's what the vast majority of what the public wants NASA to be doing. But of the $25.4 billion that NASA got in 2023 when this research was done, $138 million was set aside for planetary defense, less than 1% of the budget. So they want that, but we're not given that the money it needs.
Let's imagine for a moment that was sufficiently taken care of, and I don't think that the majority of the public would ever be satisfied with the funds that are going to that if that's their biggest priority. What is the second biggest priority? What would be the second thing? Would it be putting people on the moon again, or would it be something else?
Not sure.
That is a great question.
I brought the conversation to a halt.
No, it's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think we should make that a show topic. Like, I think we should go do some homework, and I think we should come back with, I think it's a really great idea. I just think that I need to put more thought into that, because I've never thought about like the top 5 things NASA should be working on. If I were to like summarize what you're saying, I think we should all go. I think that'd be a great show. The top 5 things NASA should be working on, and then
I think it skews the polling a little bit, because you ask everybody, they get fixated on the number 1 thing, and they don't think about the number 2 or the number 3 or the number 5 or the number 10. Right?
Exactly what just happened to us probably happens to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right. I think it's time to move on. Ryan has been quiet, and it's time for him to take over the show.
Stump us once again.
Oh, no. This is my week. I can feel it.
Oh,
okay.
This is my week.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep. It's my luck is changing this week, people. Mark my words. This week is the week.
We'll see. Ryan's been on hard mode for a little while here with these polls.
For the record, he's been on hard mode the entire time.
Okay, we're on expert mode now. Holy cow.
We almost could have done this topic in the last part of the show, worried, just talking about the Apollo astronauts. Like, they're getting up there in age.
Yeah.
They are. This week,
I got to be honest, I was surprised that he was still alive. Somebody told me that he had passed. And I was like, wait, he was still alive?
Me too.
97 he was.
Yeah.
97 for Jim Lovell. Oh man, I don't know about you guys, but like, even though this is a natural thing, like, I always get so sad anytime any of the Apollo astronauts die. I don't know. It's like, again, he was 97 years old, so like, if anything,
it was the greatest accomplishment humanity's ever made, arguably, right? Like, it was truly incredible. Humanity looked up at the moon for thousands and thousands of years, dreaming of going there one day, and a handful of humans in our lifetime actually went there. How incredible. And so, of course, like, they did great things. They truly rose to greatness.
Yeah.
I don't know about, and for a lot of us, I mean, those guys are our heroes. You know,
Hmm.
I remember, I'm not ashamed to admit that I cried for almost a whole day when Neil Armstrong died. I was super depressed when that happened. I'm gotten a little bit better about it now of regulating my emotions, but still just super sad. I don't know about you guys, but I never had the chance to meet Jim Lovell. But I've really appreciated some of the stories that people have been sharing on social media about, how kind he was and how he would take the time, at events and things like that to actually talk with people and take a picture of them, sign something if they wanted. But, just a genuinely nice human being and had the time and the respect for everyone. And, it's not just because he did something amazing with the Apollo program, but just being a good human like that is an example to us all. So, sorry.
No, I mean, Zapfan had just a great comment. Is like, I was really hoping he'd be on commentary during Artemis too. Like, absolutely,
Oh,
right? Like getting those, yeah, right. How cool would have that been?
cool.
That would have been epic.
That would,
Yeah, unfortunately, Jim was the last surviving crew member of Apollo 8. So because Bill Anders just passed away recently as well. So
Mhm.
yeah.
We've taken too long to get back to the moon, and this is what happens.
and there was that point that you brought up in our pre-show discussion. Repeat that again, if you don't mind, Jamie.
I don't remember the point.
The point that you had brought up was, are we in a situation where all of the Apollo astronauts will have passed away before we get humans back to the moon?
I certainly hope that's not the case, but it's starting to look like it will be. I mean, and that makes me really sad where there will be no one alive uh, that has ever stepped foot on the moon or any other um, non-Earth body, right? Because we shouldn't stop at the moon. We should like Mars, moon, all of it, right? We should be looking up and out and like how can we go to the stars and how can we expand and do amazing things. Yeah, exactly. For me, it's sad that most likely none of them will see the U.S. back on the moon before they pass away because, they've been failed.
I mean, even Buzz Aldrin was watching the Firefly landing live, rooting with them, cheering with them. He was doing it from home. He wasn't involved in any situations. He's getting up there in age as well, but
Yes,
they
he
still care
is.
about all this.
Yep.
You think
Yeah.
they don't?
Yep. Yeah.
If our motivations for accomplishing what we accomplished were any more noble than to beat the other guys, I think we would be farther along.
Ooh, that is a good point, right? That and going against my own competition argument, that is a very good point.
But
Like that.
no,
Once you win the game, why keep playing the game? You've won the game.
But that's what makes your argument valid is that is the driver. Like just like with politics in the last several years, like fear is a good motivator for you to get to vote against the other people.
Yeah, but maybe it's not the right motivator for
It's
what
not.
we just whoosh. Well, I mean, I'm sad to see Jim Lovell go. I'm sad to see any of the Apollo astronauts go. Hopefully, we can do better. I think we owe them all better. On that happy note, any other notes here? Should we
Josh
move on?
Collins, thanks for bringing this up real quick. Actually,
that's
I
great.
pulled this up. Let's just go ahead and play this. Just an assembly of pics and video that NASA put together, remembering Jim Lovell. He had 4 missions that he was able to do. He had 2 Gemini missions and 2 Apollo missions, and it just makes me feel good. But a good comment, though, that Josh Collins did bring up, though, for anyone wondering, this leaves Rusty Schweikart, Buzz Aldrin, Fred Hayes, David Scott, Charlie Duke, and Harrison Schmitt as the last remaining Apollo astronauts. So, yeah, here we are seeing him getting ready. This is Gemini 9, right? Gemini 9, sorry. I always say it Gemini in my head, but it's Gemini.
Me too. I had never heard it as Gemini before. Like, only in the Apollo era. Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. Otherwise, I've always known it as Gemini.
That's
I
because
will
in
also
English
say-
it's Gemini, and in
Southern
flight,
American, it's
in,
Gemini.
in Southern American fighter pilots lingo, it's Gemini.
Yeah, there he is with Buzz for Gemini 12. I don't
I
know.
will say this is going to sound dumb, but the beauty of the launch tower being that kind of like rusted red color, it's in stark contrast to the white and black rocket. It's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The handful of times that I've gotten to go to Kennedy Space Center and go to the Rocket Garden, they have a section of, I don't know which tower it comes from, but one of those orange walkways there, and it's just on the ground, and you can walk across it. And I feel like it's something that if you ever get the chance to visit, every space fan should do to get that experience. I don't know, but it felt like a spiritual experience to me. Oh man!
Yeah,
In
that
any
was,
case, though.
It was an Apollo era crew tower.
It was
Or
the Apollo
crew extension arm.
Okay.
I feel like this right here, Earthrise, that was the moment. I think that was the thing that captured humanity's consciousness. Like that was the moment when you realized we've all been looking up at the stars and dreaming, but we are going.
And
thanks for saving 1968.
I think that it's really cool that here we are now, and we are gearing up for basically a repeat of Apollo 8 with Artemis 2. Similar type of flight plan, doing that figure 8 around the moon. And if everything goes well, we are maybe 6 months away from Artemis 2 actually launching, if everything holds for it, which really hoping it does. But at this point, okay, if there's some small slips or something like that, not another year or two slip, I'm not okay with that. Maybe a month or two, but yeah, everything looks like it's on track though for things to happen early next year. So it's encouraging. And if we do plan on doing bigger and greater things, I feel like we should still do this because a lot of the guys that were part of the program back in the 60s are gone now. Some of them might still be alive and they might still have their knowledge, but no one today who's working at NASA actually has the experience of doing this stuff. So I think it's good that we make sure that we still know how to do this and before we move on to greater things. That's just
when you say
launch pad,
know how to do this.
The launch pad says, so should it be Artemis too?
Makes sense.
Zach.
That's how they say it in Italy when they get ready to ship over the service module.
Ryan, how do they say it in Britain? Because we'll know that whatever they say is the wrong way.
Which word?
Artemis. There's no R.
No, I meant Gemini or Gemini.
It's Gemini.
Okay, actually, you were right. It's Gemini. I had. It's so weird calling it Gemini. It's Gemini.
Literally no one says it that way except for the people who are associated with the program. So
yeah,
so
even then,
so
it's
that's
not,
the right
actually,
way to say it.
Aerospike mentioned. I have a friend who works for NASA who was the booster chief for Artemis 1 who didn't know they pronounced it Gemini, right? So even inside of NASA, they're like, no, it's Gemini. Yeah.
I'm just going to sit over here in my historical accuracy, continuing to call it Gemini as the people who actually worked on it did. So thank you very much. So
now, if you're referencing the constellation, will you call it the Gemini constellation or the Gemini constellation?
You know what? Just like that time when you and Carrie Ann decided to ask me, oh, so you think everything is a sandwich? And I literally just went, you know what? Yeah, everything is a sandwich. And you guys were like, oh, is soup a sandwich? And I was like, yes, it is. And then that started off this like decade-long thing where anybody's like, what do you want to get? And somebody's like, oh, we're gonna go get pizza. And I'm like, perfect. I love those sandwiches. Or something like that. Yes.
Soup is not a sandwich unless it's in a bread bowl.
The constellation, nope, it's sandwich.
After dark conversation.
Gemini in the sky. Thank you so much. And I don't care how wrong, I don't care how much my astronomer friends laugh at me from that. That is just the way it's going to be. And if they don't like it, that's their problem, not mine. And also, Gemini, a sandwich. So thank you very much. That's all I
Also
have
a
to say on the
sandwich.
subject.
I mean, not wrong.
Ooh. So I think this is a great conversation for later. NRJ has a great comment, which is watching this. So much was done with so much little info. Now we say going back to the moon is risky for landers. Is it information era that makes us believe that we are better? Or is it like,
It's information that makes us more risk averse.
yeah, maybe. Like you don't know what you don't know and you don't know how risky it is sort of thing? Maybe.
We didn't know that we had to fear.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Or we're just risk averse. I don't know. I don't know. China's doing it. They're going to do it. I have no doubt. All right. Let's let Ryan make fun of us again.
I did want to throw this out there, though.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a great book about Apollo 13 and Jim Lovell as a whole, Lost Moon doesn't get much better than that. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's very on topic because this week, finally, after 3 years of waiting, SpaceX gets angsty after 3 weeks. 3 years of waiting, Skyrora have finally been approved for a launch license from UK soil. Okay, like that
Are they actually going to
headline.
launch?
That headline is. I'll get to that in a bit. That headline is, you know, a beautiful headline to read. That was a beautiful headline to read at 3 o'clock in the morning. What you might not realise if you didn't click beyond the headline was that this launch license is only for their suborbital Skylark L vehicle testbed, which they are using, have used once so far in a launch in 2022 from Iceland. It's essentially a testbed for the fueling and manufacturing and things which they want to apply to their orbital rocket, which is called Skyrora XL, which isn't actually that big. It's a small sat launcher. So great, Skylark L has a launch license so they can launch from the UK, which their Skyrora applied for back in 2022, just after they did that first launch from Iceland. That's a picture of the rocket there with its mobile launch platform.
That's the L
However,
version, the suborbital version.
They need to get
Exactly,
some lights
yes,
and fog going on with that thing.
That's Skylark L. So this is the good news, right? This is the fantastic news. However, if we cast our minds back a little bit, Skyrora only originally intended to launch Skylark L once. However,
Oh, no.
they launched that from Iceland, but they didn't launch it from the UK. So they're like, you know what? We'll do a second Skylark L launch. So they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and they've finally gotten this launch license to launch from the UK, specifically from the Saxevord spaceport in the Shetland Islands. However, Saxevord has informed Skyrora that they are fully booked for the rest of this year. Don't ask me how, but that's what they've said. So Skyrora is now looking into the possibility of launching the second Skylark from Iceland, which would mean they wouldn't need to use the launch license they've been waiting for, because of course Iceland is a completely separate jurisdiction to the UK. So that's how things stand in the UK. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Everything is wonderful. Let's be optimistic about the future. Let's go.
And you're never going to get anywhere. Like, this red tape has to be fixed. Are they working on that at all, or do they not care?
Yes, kind of, not really.
Thanks for all the available answers.
You're welcome. How do I say this diplomatically?
don't.
Just say it as it is.
Ryan wants to work for the BBC one day. Let him be diplomatic.
Oh, someone play the music again. The beeping music.
On one side, Skyrora had to wait 3 years. I'm sure someone here can attest to how Virgin Orbit kind of got screwed over. But on the other side of things, Rocket Factory at Augsburg got their launch license for their orbital rocket in a much smaller time frame. So one has to wonder whether after the Virgin Orbit debacle, whether things did change within the CAA, how they do these things, which led to Rocket Factory Augsburg getting their license much sooner than Skyrora. I think they got theirs at the end of last year, if memory serves me correctly. Skyrora's had to wait much longer, so one wonders whether that was more on the Skyrora side of things, whether the communication wasn't correct there, whether there was documentation that was meant to be in place that wasn't in place. You know, I'm not 100% certain on that. But if we look at RFA, progress has been made. If we look at Skyrora, no progress has been made. So I don't really know how to answer that question whether progress has been made, because yes, in one case it has, in the other case it hasn't. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens if a third company tries to get a launch license, and if that goes really well, then yes, progress has been made. But as things stand, you know, all of this licensing stuff out of the way, none of these companies are hardware ready, right? So they can have all the licenses and the insurance and everything they need in the world. But as it stands, Rocket Factory Augsburg don't have a booster at the pad. Skyrora don't have, you know, an orbital rocket to be seen. They probably just have some hardware in their factory. Orbex, good heavens know what Orbex is up to at the moment. They seem to be promoting their healthy cycling to work scheme on X instead of, you know, working on an orbital rocket or something like that. This is just how things stand in this country right now. You know, I'm not making any of that up. I'm not making any of that up. I swear. Go on Orbex's X page right now. Their most recent tweet is their healthy cycling to work scheme. I'm not joking.
Right. It might have just been my connection because I've been having issues. But as soon as you started talking bad about Orbex, everything went digital, and I couldn't understand you at all. It was almost like they were listening in, and they hit the button of like, "Don't let him say bad things about Orbex." It was great. I don't know if anyone else was able to understand what you said, but like, yeah, you sounded like a robot. It was great.
I do have a couple questions for you, Ryan, if you don't mind. Oh, but first, let's get to this.
Just
comment.
stop using metric and switch to imperial. Problem solved.
We use both technically here, so
Sort of.
You invented one.
Right,
then
you're
you
the
threw it
source of
out.
imperial.
yeah, we invented Imperial and then realized that metric is so much better in like half of its use cases, so we use both.
Again, Imperial was listening.
I do have a couple questions for you, though. Isn't Saxavord supposed to eventually have 4 spaceports or launch pads, only 2 of which have had any sort of construction done? Is that right? Or is there only 3 pads that will be there eventually?
I think the current plan is 3, only one of which has seen any construction, which is the RFA pad, which they static fire tested on.
Okay.
So
To follow
Yeah.
on with that, in the case of Skyrora, what does it even matter for their Skylark L? Because it has its own mobile launcher. As long as you have road access, can't they launch it from anywhere?
GSE.
that's a great
GST.
point.
You could launch it from right by a building and have fog machines and lights. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Launch it in the parking lot.
Oh, you meant product launch.
Oh, yeah.
That is a great point you bring up, Mike, and I'm sure we would love to talk to Saxavord and ask why they're fully booked up for the rest of the year when literally nothing is launching from there. Fingers crossed RFA get a launch in before the end of the year. That's their current ambition. But, you know, like right now, like how can a spaceport be fully booked up when there is, you know, one rocket that might launch there this year? Like how that doesn't make any logical sense to me. But the spaceport hasn't said anything, and the spaceport is its own entity. So we should. I would wait for comment from them on that one.
I think Doug hit the nail on the head. It's GSE. It's almost certainly like they're not set up for the GSE that they need. I would assume.
I know a set that they can borrow.
Interesting.
All right.
Very interesting.
That our show?
Real quick, I did want to leave us off with some pretty pictures, if that's all
I
right.
like pretty pictures, yeah.
Here, let me share. Let me stop that and share the right screen. So Rocketlab launched a mission on their Electron. Actually, that's not the tab I want. I want this tab. Just a mission synthetic aperture radar for a Japanese company. But what I wanted to show and highlight was this beautiful brand new camera on their upper stage, which they're testing out to use for the cameras that will eventually go on Neutron. Look at this. This is beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
This is
That's
absolutely
fantastic.
Beautiful.
Look at the reflections.
I'm sorry, Mike. You're breaking up. I can't see this.
Are you missing it, Dutta? Did you miss it? It's on screen right now. If you look to your right. No? Did you miss it? Dang it.
No.
I did want to show one other cool, pretty picture angle. This was one that Peter Beck shared, where
Mm.
after payload deployment, and you can see one of those reflective things are gone. That's because there's their battery packs.
Oh, look at
Boom.
that.
There's the upper stage kick stage with the satellite, the synthetic aperture radar satellite, just
Fake.
drifting past. In a second here, I think we get to see a couple of puffs.
And
Maybe not on this one. Maybe I'm confusing that.
there's a
But that's just
spaceship.
beautiful footage. That
Yeah,
is
it's gorgeous.
beautiful footage. So, nothing to share other than this was really pretty. Good job, Rocketlab.
It's really pretty. Now I just want them to fix their graphics and we're good to go.
We
I violently hate their graphics. I'm sorry to whoever designed them. I don't mean to be insulting, but they are not good and they need to be removed.
Well,
all right, that's our show. I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching, including all of the members of Tomorrow who helped to. Oh my gosh, is this an updated slate? Is this real?
This
is fantastic. So all the
Wow.
members of Tomorrow, and in fact, Dave Avery earlier also contributed. Let's see if I can find it. It's somewhere in here. Okay, thank you for whoever put that up on screen. Also contributed 5 additional memberships who will also have access to our After Dark and any of our membership perks. There are multiple levels that you can subscribe to. You've got ground support, we've got orbital, and each one of these is a different level. Whatever makes the most sense for you. If you got something out of the show, if you enjoyed yourself, if you had fun, would love to see you become a member at whatever level makes sense for you. Or like, hopefully you're gifted a membership if that doesn't work for you. Like if you're like, nope, I like that. Hey, I didn't get anything out of the show, but you know, if you can't afford it, or you want to help support the show in other ways, obviously, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things to feed the algorithm. You know, you'd be surprised. YouTube will sometimes unsubscribe people from shows. So just double check that you are actually subscribed. It does help us quite a bit. Also, like hitting that thumbs up like button and or adding a comment into the show, you know, talking about like, you know, answering Ryan's questions. Don't cheat. Like, see if you get it during his quiz. You know, it's a great thing. And for all of our members, every single one, every single tier, you will be able to watch our After Dark members only show right after this particular show. We'll talk about anything, including like I think this week I want to talk about UFOs. Like, I'm not joking, like legitimately. Maybe that's your thing, maybe it's not your thing. You guys get to steer the conversation in After Dark. But like, you know, it's a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun during this main show. And again, like, subscribe, hit all the buttons, feed the algorithm. It really goes a long way. It costs you nothing, and it benefits us tremendously. So if you made it this far in the show, please, I beg of thee, hit the buttons. All right, that's it from us. After Dark is up next, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much for watching. Toodles.